All right, guys, today we're at John Ross's shop for once with my new car. Just kidding. It's sort of a Mother's Day thing, and this is my mother's car. It needs a brake job, and it also has, yeah, so we're gonna get that fixed up for her today. Hopefully return this thing kind of good as new. This is the front fender completely shredded. She does a lot of driving on the toll road, and apparently there was a little bit of a highway gator, and yep. So we're gonna get that fixed up. We're gonna get this brake job knocked out. Looks pretty simple, just your typical brakes, nothing fancy. Unfortunately, they're not the kind that load from the back, because those are just the most glorious brake jobs ever. Rotors look okay, so we're just doing a pad slap, and we'll get this thing out of here. I am excited, because not only am I here in Watch Share Go's shop, but I got this weird new tool, and I'm going to hopefully use it today to fix a pretty glaring issue with the Park Avenue Ultra. If you've worked in or around a body shop, you probably recognize this as an inferior version of something that you use every day. It is essentially a pair of vice grips on a slide hammer, and you use this to grab things and then pull them. Pretty simple. The problem that I'm going to fix with this today is someone has jacked my poor Buick up very, very wrong. It's a heavy car. If you don't jack it up on the actual jack points, the result is crushed pinch welds, and I have very, very crushed pinch welds, and I'm hoping that I will be able to grab those with this and then hammer them back into shape. Since we have a lift here, this should only take a few minutes. Hopefully. This is a very, very common issue with the LeSabres and the Park Avenues. Even though these things, like, I've never seen this before, and I'll show you here in a minute, these actually say jack point with an arrow pointing towards it on the pinch welds, and yet still people mess it up. And since buying this car, I've noticed it on tons and tons of Park Avenues and LeSabres around town, is they have these messed up fenders. So if we take a look at the panel gaps on the Park Avenue, you know, they're pretty typical for an American car of the time, you know, not amazing, you know, they're kind of, you know, they exist. But then we get up here. Yeah, that is definitely not supposed to be like that. This whole fender is just bowed out a bit. And as you can see down here, this trim is a little bit messed up because things are definitely not lining up the way they should. Now, let's take the camera down and take a look underneath here. You know what? Let's just get the car in the air. What am I doing? Car goes up. So you can see here, this is clearly where the jack point is. There's reinforced metal there. It's multiple layers, and it has some sort of, you know, divots in it to give it extra strength. You can see here how the door and the fender are just not even remotely meeting up correctly, because oh yeah, she's heartily on the struggle bus. All of this metal is just in the wrong spot on both sides here. Oh man, that is bad. So I'm hoping that I can get my my vice grips on here and start slide hammering this back into place. You can see this is just misaligned on multiple axes. Hopefully I'm able to make a difference here. Oh man, it just affects this whole thing. Man. Again, really common, and people say they've taken this to a body shop and it's gotten fixed within 15 minutes. And I'm assuming that they use that tool over there, or something similar to it. The body shop versions, instead of having vice grips, they have like screw clamps. I'm not sure if those grip more or not. I'm assuming so. They definitely grip over a wider area, but here's hoping that I'm able to make a difference here. A difference for good. This is also the first time I've been under this car since I bought it. Wow, it's a lot drier under here now. I am doing precision work. That is exhausting.
Yep.
Everything hurts. It's just 5 pounds. The passenger side actually came along quite nice. We got it relatively straight. It still could get pulled down a bit more. As you can see, this line still off here, about as far off as my autofocus actually. So that's gonna need a frame pulling machine, or like chain this to something and then lift the car to pull it down. You know, sort of improv bodywork there. Because, you know, this hasn't been improv so far. Driver's side, it's probably half the gap that it was before, half the man that I was. You couldn't even see this part of the pinch weld before. It was tucked so far up in there. So that's a pretty decent improvement. Put that down here. But again, this just needs to be pulled down, and then this will all be happy again. I mean, this misalignment here is quite bad, so that's really rather unfortunate. Something we did find, however, we got the car up in the air, and this is the air pump for the air suspension, and we had the car, we unhooked it and we ran it and no air came out. So it's always fun trying to get righty-tighty, lefty-loosey correct when the bolt is facing away from you. Oh, yeah. That's pretty down there. Here's the new one. I would say it's time. What is this? Little clippy thingy on here. Looks like the new pads came with new clippy thingies. I have absolutely no idea what these are. This must be like a new car thing. I've never worked on new cars. I only own old junk. Sometimes it's fun to go back to the basics. Thing is, I haven't done the basics in so long. Like, my cars have all just kind of come with good brakes and stuff on them, and I never really owned them long enough to have to change any of it. There you go, little buddy. Time for one of my favorite tools, the caliper compressor. It just turns such a potentially frustrating thing into literally 5 seconds. So caliper, old pad, compressor, and just wind it down. Slide pins still move freely, that's good. That'll keep these from wearing unevenly, which is always nice. Looks like they've been wearing pretty evenly so far, so that's good. This car has around 100,000 miles, but everything looks to be in pretty good shape. Minimal rust for a Midwestern car. You know, about average for a Kansas car that gets looked after to a reasonable amount. I mean, Kansas cars don't really get that rusty unless they're just complete hoopties that are parked outside on grass a lot. CV boots are good. Steering rack boots are good. The longest, most ridiculous end link in existence looks good. No leaking or fluid from the shock, so that's nice. Ah, there's your problem. All right, brakes first though. Let's go do the other 3 corners, and then we'll come back to whatever that is. So it's been forever since I had to do a brake job, because like I go through cars so quick that the brakes never wear out. They have brakes, they continue to have brakes, and then I sell them. So this is a bit weird. I haven't done one of these in forever, and I was completely baffled at the rear brakes on these cheap modern cars, which have the twist-in style thing. So I actually had to go to O'Reilly's and rent a special tool for that, except they didn't have it. So I had to cheat on O'Reilly's and go to AutoZone. The absolute scandal of it all. And then I went to Quick Trip, and I was like, hey, I fancy a snack. So I got a Monster and some gummy worms, and somehow that was $20. Anyway, let's get the rear wrapped up on this car, and then, oh no, I need to get more of the plastic rivets for that fender liner, unless it comes with them. But I doubt it. I doubt Mazda would be quite that generous. So I might end up buying some more stuff for this, but let's get this wrapped up. It's like 8 o'clock already. So unfortunately we don't have a way to really pull the fenders right now, but I did want to take a look for some leaks up here, so I'm gonna do that real quick. Thanks for watching.